And then get started. Um, Thank you guys for coming out. You know, for whatever reason, it is not a day where a lot of people want to be in the office. Appreciate you guys being here.
Thank
So a couple of you have already talked about this, just sitting here, but just so I have a good idea, how many of you have set up your business profile for Google? Um, We're going to cover setting it up, which realistically only takes about 10 minutes. And then the rest of the time is going to be talking about kind of making it work for you, and how to improve your visibility, things like that. So, quickest, easiest way to get started is just to go to google.com/business. The URL is going to change once you get there, but just google.com/business will take you to the setup page. It'll have you sign in, to make sure that you're in a Google account. I recommend if you have an email address that you use for your business, using that one. If you can use your KW one, use your KW one. It just is going to, it's going to be better if you use a business email rather than just, coolgamer6 at like whatever, like don't use the email that you created in high school.
JP, now that I think about it, I did set it up a while back, but I think it may have been like asking for some level of confirmation or.
So when we get to verification method, I'll talk about there's a handful of different options. All right, so let's click the get started button. I'm just gonna go through like a demo. It's gonna ask me to verify. All right, so the first thing it's going to ask you for is your business name and your business category. So I'm going to say demo, my business name, and business category. Let's say. So first thing that I wanted to talk about, there's a lot of different options under business category. So I typed in real estate and you see there's real estate agent, real estate agency, real estate school, real estate attorney, a whole bunch of different options here. If you go in and just type in realtor, you still get a bunch of different options. I would say just keep with real estate agent. You want it to be rather broad. You don't want to kind of narrow yourself into a category that someone is going to miss when they're searching for certain parameters. So real estate agent or something similarly broad is going to be your best bet for the category. So we'll hit next. So, do you want to add a location customers can visit, like a store or office? This is kind of a personal choice for you. Because we are kind of a service business, you don't necessarily have to say like, oh, this is my one physical location where people come and see me. We will talk about how, for compliance reasons, you want to make sure that somewhere in this process, you're utilizing the actual brokerage address that you're legally required to have on any web advertising. But you don't necessarily have to say that I have a physical location. This is also going to play into the verification methods. So one of the verification methods that some of you have talked about encountering is that video verification method where you have to like show that you going into the property and things like that. You are not claiming a physical location, you are unlikely to have to do that. So in this instance, I'm going to say no.
JB, I have a question.
Yeah.
Let's say if we have a page already set up, go back and change that setting? Or is it too late?
This specific setting, I am not sure. I'm not sure if you can remove and say, no, I don't have a physical location. But we can look at that, once we get.
Follow-up question
Yeah.
would be, would you suggest opening a new page or continue to play with what I said? Because I had this created with my past broker.
There's not really a short answer to that. The shortest possible answer I can give is that if you have not been utilizing or benefiting from your previous page, there's not really a downside to creating a new one. Especially if you are going to work the new one so that that's the one that pops up when people search for you. The only downside to having multiple is that you don't want someone looking at the wrong one and getting to the wrong resources, things like that, or not getting to your correct contact information. But if you are doing the things that you should do with your current, with the new page, then you shouldn't have that issue because that should be the one that's more prominent. Okay, so this is the more important location based, where it talks about where do you serve your customers. You want to kind of toe the line here between being focused and not being too narrow. So you don't want to say, oh, well, I only serve customers in Newark. But actually, you have clients that go outside of the boundaries of Newark, and maybe someone is searching for Cristiano real estate agent, and they're not going to see you because you didn't include, the town that's right next door. So really look at your business model and say, like, okay, where do I actually want to service clients? Where do I want people to find me because they're searching for real estate in this area? You also don't want to go too broad, though. You don't want to include areas that are, 2 hours away because you probably don't want to drive 2 hours away to get clientele. This is a good way of you truly selecting where you want to do business. So you can put in multiple locations, just one location, but again, keep in mind that these are going to be one of the main ways that people find you when they're searching for a real estate agent in these specific areas. And if you don't include an area that you would like to work, it's not going to show up for the people that are searching there.
So would you suggest putting maybe counties?
So you can search for different areas. What I would probably say is search for specific cities, municipalities, or if there is just like, I only work in this one county, then yes, put the county. But whatever you can do to really hone in very specifically on the areas that you want to work and leave out any areas where you do not want to work. So, let's say. And you can always add or change or adjust, so I'm not gonna go through and put in a comprehensive list right this moment, but you want to add any locations where you hope to be found. It's gonna ask you for contact details that you want customers to be able to find you. The website says optional. I'm gonna tell you right now, The website is not optional. Don't let me catch your business profile without a website. Most people who are searching online for real estate agents want to continue doing their looking around online before they talk to someone. If you do not have a website for them to go to and continue to vet you, there's a very low chance that they're just going to look at your Google profile and say, oh, well, that's the person that I want to work with 100% and give you a call. Putting a website on there increases the likelihood that someone is going to get enough information to say, I would like to work with this person. It's also a great way to funnel them towards your ecosystem. So whether or not you have a website that you pay for or anything like that, every single KW agent has a KW provided IDX home search website. At the very least, put that in there, because then people will be directed to a website where they can start to look for homes, and they only have one option of who to contact when they're on your website looking at homes, and it's you. And when they sign up, it's going to go directly into your command database. Like, it is one of your best ways to capture people's information is to have a website for them to go and get engaged and start to continue their searching process. So please, 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 please include a website. Even if you don't think you have a website, you do, I promise. So this is the first part of the verification, that ever daunting verification. This address that you are putting in here does not have to be the business address. Does not have to be an address that is going to be visible to the public. This is a mailing address. There are three main ways that Google can try to verify that you are who you say you are, and that you have the location where you say you have the location, and that's phone, mail, and video. So there's a number of different factors, and it's a very complicated process that they use to figure out which options they're going to say you can use. But those are really the three that they could give you. Phone is nice and simple. They'll either call you or text you a code and say, all right, perfect. We verified that this number does go to you, the person that says it's going to. Mail, they will literally mail you a little like postcard with a little code on it that you will go back and punch in, and they'll say, okay, perfect. We sent this to the address you gave us, and you verified that you are able to receive mail at that address. Great. The video is a new thing. It's a little more complicated. Basically, they'll ask you for a video where you are going into your business and kind of unlocking the doors and doing other little things to show that you do own, manage, run, etc. that business. This is new enough that there are still some hiccups in their process, and I have heard some people who have had absolutely zero problems with it, and I've heard some people that have had absolutely all of the problems with it, and everything in between. Your best bet, if you are choosing to say, like, okay, the address that I want to verify is the office address, where there's a bunch of other people who are probably also claiming that same address, and they're going to say, hey, you know what, I need you to make a video because we have 13 people who all say they work at the same place. Make your video, explain in your video that you are a real estate agent whose business runs out of this shared office.
So for us, should we, I was gonna put the new address there. Do we have a suite number for where we're gonna be at the new location?
30. Well, okay, so the temporary space is 315,
Mhm.
and the permanent space is 305.
Thank you.
What's the address there?
It's 111 Continental Boulevard.
Alex.
Sure.
That's the one.
That's. That's so sweet. Yeah, bro.
305.
Put that in there.
That I'm not positive on. I will be able to receive mail there, generally speaking. I'm not positive how their mail gets handled. So with us in the temporary space for, 6 to 8 months, however long it takes, I'm not positive on whether it's best to have mail sent to that suite versus the other suite. That's something that we can ask the operations people about. Do we need another minute or are we good to move on to the next section? Good to go. All right, so the services is the one place where I want you to be absolutely thorough. Because again, this is going to be something where if people are searching for specific services, specific terms, and you have not chosen to add that as the list of services that you provide, you are not going to show up in their search results. So if it is a thing that you can do for your clients, you want to include it. So, can you do land? All right, building lot sales. Are you a buyer's agent? Great, buying agent services. You do beach properties? Great, beach property rentals and sales. You do commercial properties? No? All right, don't click that because you don't want people saying, oh, well, I searched for you by commercial. Do you do farms? Do you do first time home buyers? And you can show more. I do foreclosed properties, furnished property rentals, land leases. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different things here. Be very thorough with everything that's there. Real estate investing, real estate sales management, seller's agent, relocation assistance, whatever you do, include it. And there's also the ability to add a custom service. So if there is something that you do for your clients that is not specifically laid out here, you can add it as a custom service. Maybe you also do staging. All right, add staging as a custom service. Maybe you are really good at helping people find short-term rentals. Or, well, that's already on the list, but whatever your specific services that you provide that are not showing up there, add it. The worst thing that can happen is no one searches by that criteria and you wasted the 10 seconds it took to add it. The best thing that can happen is someone is specifically searching for, I need someone who does staging and selling of homes. And they find you because you added that as one of your service criteria. Business hours. Again, this one is going to be fairly personal to you. There's not like a one size fits all solution for me to give you here, but I will tell you this is a great place for you to draw your boundaries in advance. If you do not work Sunday evenings because that is reserved as family time, then do not put that you are open on Sunday evenings. If you do not answer your phone after 10 p.m., do not put that you are available 24 hours a day. You want to be very clear and upfront about when you are available and when people can expect that you will pick up your phone when they call you. Business description. You have 750 characters for your business description. That may sound like a lot. I promise you it is less than you think. Be concise and be specific with your business description. This is also going to factor into the, quote unquote SEO of your Google business profile. So you want to say what you do and where you do it, because again, those are the typical things that people search by. People tend to search real estate agent in Newark. They tend to search by what and where. Please include those in your business description. This is also the kind of thing that if it is overly long and overly clunky, people will not read the whole thing. So be short, sweet, to the point, be very specific. Photos. Please, 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 please add photos. Again, helps you come up in the search results. It also helps draw people's eye. And I know that there are going to be some people who go, oh, I don't want to put a picture of myself. Put a picture of yourself. I don't care how you think you look. I don't care, if your headshot's 10 years old and you need to update it and you don't want to put up the old headshot. Scientifically, people gravitate towards photos of other people's faces. So you are going to get more attention if you have a photo that has a human face in it than if you just have photos of homes. Include photos of homes. If you sold some big, beautiful houses in a specific area that you want to work in, absolutely include those photos in there. Put your headshot in there. It is scientifically going to get you more attention. Google is also always going to ask you if you want a 500 or 1,000 or whatever some odd dollar advertising credit. Just be aware that usually those credits come with as many strings as Pinocchio. There's plenty that you have to do in order to get your free advertising credits. Not necessarily a bad idea, but there are caveats. Okay, you are almost certainly going to get this screen that says your edits will be visible once you're verified. The only way that it won't give you this screen is if it gave you the option to verify by phone, and then it texted you the code and you put it in right away. So most of you will see that everything is going to be not visible until you're verified. That's totally fine as long as you are going through the verification process. What you don't want to do is take all these steps and then never bother finishing to verify, because then that's time wasted. But even with your business not visible to customers, we can still look at all of these different things here. So you can edit your profile. If you go in here, so it looks like, yes, Ali, you can go back and edit the business location after the fact. You can adjust business hours. You can also put in special hours. So you can say, like, don't work holidays or whatever the case may be. You can put in adjusted contact information, including your social media profiles if you want to have people directed to your Facebook or your Instagram or your TikTok or whatever the latest thing that the kids are going to start using after TikTok is. You can put all of that right here. So you can adjust all of your business information. You can go through and manage your photos as well. So you can add and remove photos. This lets you specifically select a cover photo. That should be your headshot. headshot should be the first thing people see. They want to know they're working with a person. You can go through and once you're verified, go through your reviews. So this is going to be kind of the first thing that we talk about in terms of working your Google business page. When someone reviews your business, go in and respond to it. If you can, do it every time. If you can't, that means you're incredibly busy and you can afford to have an assistant who goes in and does it every time. Google works in some ways a lot like social media. When it comes to Facebook, Instagram, things like that, the more that you interact with the people who interact with your profile, the more visible your profile becomes. Business pages work the same way. The more people who are leaving reviews, the better for you. The more you're interacting with those people and commenting on the reviews, the better. So I would incorporate in all of your kind of processes for when you are working with the customer, especially once you close a deal, at the closing table or at the signing of the deed package or whatever the last time that you're really meaningfully interacting with your client before their deal closes is, talk to them about giving you a Google review. Tell them, hey, I'm going to send you an email with a link to give me a Google review. It would really help my business out. I would really appreciate it. It takes 2 minutes of your time. And just so you know, I'm going to be a pain in the butt about it. So if you don't do it within the first day after I send it to you, I'm going to call you and hound you about it. It means that much to me. Whatever you want your spiel to be, but getting your past clients to leave you reviews and then responding to those reviews, saying, oh, thank you, or whatever the case may be, super important. Also important that if someone gives you a bad review for whatever reason, that you do something with that too. If it is an illegitimate review, there are channels that you can go through with Google to get it taken down. If it's a legitimate review, if you worked with someone, the two of you just didn't jive for whatever reason, and they, you end up not working with them anymore, and they take it upon themselves to go leave you a bad review. Have you ever been looking for a place to eat on Google and you see a restaurant and there's like a scathing review up there, but then the business right underneath it is like, hey, I'm sorry you had that experience. This is what happened. We'd be happy to take care of you in the future, but the experience that you're putting out here, not necessarily an accurate depiction of the events. If you are reasonable, if you take responsibility for the things that you need to take responsibility for, and you show that you want to make situations better, then someone reading that negative review then has something positive to read right after that and help shift their mindset away from that negative review. So don't just ignore negative reviews and pretend they don't exist. And don't try to get every negative review taken down just because it's negative, because Google will only take down the ones that truly are not legit reviews. Own up, sometimes things go wrong, sometimes we make mistakes, sometimes personalities don't mix. But that looks better than just having a blanket negative review and silence from the business owner. Again, similarly to social media, you can put updates. You can add offers. You can add events. This is a way for people to see that you are still an active business instead of just this static thing that, well, I don't even know if this person is in the industry anymore. Offers, we talk about MOFers all the time. Free home evaluation. Once a month, go on your Google business page and put in an offer for a free home consultation, free home evaluation. What is the worst that happens if you spend 30 seconds putting that up there once a month? Put an event. If you're hosting, a community event, maybe you've got a shredder truck to pull up in the parking lot of the office, and you called all your database and told them to come bring their stuff by. throw it up on the Google business page. Maybe someone who's not in your database comes by and you get new business off of that. You close a really big sale that you're really proud of, put an update. Let people know that you are not only still in business, but you are succeeding and thriving, and that you're the type of agent they want to work with. Shame that it doesn't let you actually see the interface before you're verified, but this performance section is really, really useful. So once your business page is up and running, I'm gonna put this challenge out to you that minimum once a month, but preferably once a week, you go in there and you look at the performance section. The performance section is gonna tell you how many people are interacting with and finding your profile. It's gonna tell you how they're finding your profile. So you can start to see, some trends in, oh, a lot of people who search for Cristiano real estate are finding me, but not a lot of people searching for Newark real estate are finding me. What can I do to improve and get more of that foothold? So it lets you kind of look at trends and figure out where you're succeeding and where maybe there's a gap. You can also advertise, again, if this is a place you choose to advertise, you can totally do that. It's not necessarily a bad idea, but I would encourage you to learn as much as you can about it before doing it. And you can even set up bookings. So you can make it really nice and quick and easy for people to book an appointment with you. Instead of, having someone necessarily have to go to your website or call you or something. I'm going to be honest with you. And this is kind of like taboo to say in the real estate industry. I don't like making phone calls to people I don't know. I just don't. And a lot of real estate agents don't, but especially a lot of people who didn't actively choose to go into a profession where they have to call people they don't know. Those people particularly don't. Especially a lot of people of my generation and younger. Just don't like making phone calls. So if I have the ability to book an appointment with someone where I don't have to pick up the phone, awesome. I will take that every day of the week. Give people that option. The more options that you can give people for connecting with you in a way that is comfortable to them, the better. There's also a question and answer section. So customers can ask questions about your business. It may be worth having a friend or a family member come on here and ask some kind of frequently asked questions that you want people to know the answer to, so that you can then go in there and answer those, so that when someone goes to your business profile, maybe they're thinking of the question and they see it and they get the answer right away. And all of a sudden they're that much closer to thinking, okay, this is a person that I might want to set an appointment with. That's basically it in terms of the actual process and kind of working it on the back end. The kind of like final notes that I'll give you is, again, kind of treat this like social media, where you have to be consistent with it. You have to interact with it. You have to interact with the people who interact with it. Otherwise, it's not going to deliver you any results. You don't have to check in on this every day. Once a week, come in here, look at if there are any new reviews, post an update, add a photo, answer a question, check your performance. Little things like that to help keep it kind of a living, breathing thing. That's going to all help keep your SEO higher and make sure that your page has more visibility. So the remainder of our time is then for questions, if anyone has more questions.
Yes. Where can we go and add an email address? Or is there a
I
way?
didn't see that either.
So I'm
Just looking at there.
Yeah, I don't know that they have, yet. They used to. Here's the thing about Google Business Pages. They have changed how you set up a Google Business page about once a year for as long as I've been looking at business pages. This is probably the easiest that it's ever been to set it up, in my opinion. But they change options fairly regularly.
There's not a spot for email in the profile.
No, there does not appear to be a spot. I wonder if. No, it only even lets you select text message or WhatsApp for chatting purposes. That's kind of dumb. Then your email address may be something that you want to include in your business description. You know, just at the end of it, just say, for more info, email me at blah, 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 blah. It is kind of weird that they don't have that, but
Question might be a little outside of the scope of this class. Somebody talked to me about Google LSA or LFA, where you pay to be sponsored person in your particular category.
yeah, so that's kind of one of the options under advertise. And let's see if this, how much this will show you, since it's not technically verified. Doesn't really show you a whole lot until you go through the process, but yeah, so Google actually has a handful of ways for you to advertise yourself and kind of get a leg up. So if I just search Keller Williams Power. So if you're searching for a business name, typically that business is going to come up first. And then hopefully, if they've done a good job of SEO, the first thing that's going to show up is going to be their website, and then, you know, some social media things, etc. You know, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, things like that will show up. That's if you search for a business specifically. If I search for real estate companies in Delaware, sponsored. All right, there are 4 sponsors before I even get to see the businesses that are showing up. So Jim's doing a great job. He's the top business that shows up when I search real estate companies in Delaware. Kira Anderson, Debbie Phipps. I mean, so this, but even at the end of that, here's a sponsored. It costs a reasonable amount of money to stay as one of those sponsored spots for any length of time. If you would like to try running as a sponsored on Google, I recommend doing it for a specific time frame that you designate. Really start here. Figure out the budget that you are willing to say, like, okay, if I get no return from this, I'm fine with having spent this much money to try this as a viable possibility. Figure out how much time that amount of budget will get you. And I'll tell you up front, if the amount of time is like a week, don't even bother, because that's not going to be a good enough sample size. Try to stay up there for a month to 3 months as a better approximation of, will I actually get a return off this? So figure out your length of time and then diligently track your return, because it's only going to be worth continuing to do if you're actually turning over and making money on it. if I click into more businesses, all of a sudden, sponsored, and then you see the people who are actually showing up in the top results. Diamond Homes.
Woohoo.
Yeah, so it does give you a leg up sometimes. What I'll tell you too is that sometimes people specifically won't click on links that say sponsored.
Mhm.
So again, if you're gonna do it, be diligent with tracking your results and your return. And compare it to like, okay, say you decide to go sponsored and all of a sudden you see that your business profile, you're looking at the results, you go, oh man, I'm getting 10 hits a week. Like this is great. Well, then you go back and you look at the history and you've seen before I started running this, I was getting 9 hits a week. This is not quite as great. So know where you currently stand in terms of the visibility and interactions that you're getting on your Google profile, and then track the increase above that. And be mindful of things like seasonality. So, you know, don't compare, like if you're running your ads during April and May, don't compare apples to apples to what your business profile was doing in December and January. Like, so kind of keep that in mind as well.
I have a question regarding the reviews.
Yeah.
So should the reviews strictly only be our clients? Can it be partners that we
So
work with?
there's not a short answer for that. So we have time for a long answer, so I'll give you the long answer. Before getting into the real estate world, I managed an electronics appliance store. And one of the things that our higher ups kept insisting that we do is get as many Google reviews as possible. So we would every day be getting, 5 to 10 Google reviews from people who walked in the store, but also from friends and family members. And we left reviews for our own store. And Google likes to go through and look at reviews with a critical eye and say, I don't think that's legit, and taking down. So yes, definitely from your clients. When it comes to friends, family members, colleagues, things like that, you want it to be something that's going to be authentic and not come across as review padding to either Google or someone who's looking at your profile.
Right.
Because sometimes you're like, JP Helk is up there, and this woman, Kathy Helk, thinks that he's great and talk about what a sweet boy he is. Feels like maybe he had his mom do a review. And I don't know that I trust that.
No, I have like our referral partners. I have a referral business, so.
So what I would say, in terms of like referral partners. There you go. But that's so when you have people in your world that are leaving you reviews. Your mom was your client, have her say, my daughter helped me find a house and gave me a phenomenal experience. You have a referral partner, have them say, it was a really smooth process, working together to help our client succeed and find their. You have a lender partner that wants to leave you a review, have them say, every transaction that we work on goes smoothly and she's very communicative. Make it very transparent and very authentic, and that will stick. But do not be surprised if you look at your profile one day and say, less reviews than I had yesterday. Because Google will just go through and be like, that one doesn't belong there, that one doesn't belong there.
Where was the get verified button? That's the part I'm missing. Make it be verified.
So once you have gone through the whole process,
Okay,
it's gonna tell you in 1,000 places, customers can't see your business information, get verified. And then every time I click into something, so read reviews, you should get verified. Like it won't let you do a whole lot until you get verified.
Chief,
Yeah.
see, I see those, social media handles in there. How do you add those?
Yeah, so if
Add
you go
stuff
to
out.
edit profile. They're right here. So you can say, you know what, this is, it's funny that they still call it Twitter. Yeah, but you can select what platform and then pop in the URL. In our remaining 10 minutes, do we have any questions, whether or not they pertain to this class, but if they pertain to things that I can help you with?
So I'm gonna be, bringing on another virtual assistant
Okay,
for you so that you could help train them. What should I be doing before I schedule the time with you?
yeah, so first of all, does the company that you are going through for the VA, what do they allow in terms of like a vetting process and like making sure what skill sets they do or don't have?
Well, they know I'm moving specifically for administrative, so I'm making the assumption that they're gonna already be strong administratively. But I don't know specifically the vetting process.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. There's a pizza delivery and he's trying to understand it's to the. It's the instructions just say come into the building and it's on the right-hand side. It's not you.
I don't think.
No,
it's
you're
us.
copy eyes. Unless someone put it wrong.
I'm so sorry.
Copy eyes. Unless someone.
Yeah, we already got our lunch delivered for the.
Okay, sorry. Thank you so much.
You see, I'm like a ninja. First time everyone's called me quiet.
Yeah, so a lot of times you can ask them specifically, especially a lot of the companies that work with real estate agents. You can say, you know, I would prefer someone who is familiar with Keller Williams and KW Command. Which is great. The big thing then is, I would say, do you get a chance to like interview them at all before you officially? Yeah, so I would ask them some specific questions about, you know, so you know what aspects of command are most important to you in your business. Ask them what their familiarity is with those specific areas. And then if there are any areas where, you know, maybe like opportunities is super important to you, but they're not as familiar with opportunities, make a note of that. And that way, when you schedule time for me to sit with them, I know like, all right, this is what we need to go over. You know, and if it's someone that does not have a familiarity with command, I would say, you know, pull some videos on basic intro to command stuff, have them watch that, have them kind of get in, play around with it, and then meet with me so that they can have more specific questions.
I've had a lot of using Rivety VAs,
Okay.
and I have four.
I'm really sorry. I don't do food, I do house cleaning. It was Keller Williams. So he's leaving it out front.
Okay,
Okay?
yeah, I don't.
Beat it.
Somebody, you know,
One, so,
So, but if you want, I can put it in that to give you a call.
okay, yeah, I feel comfortable with this. This company that I'm gonna be using.
That would be.
Right, I used one, I didn't go through a company for her, but I want another one just for admin stuff and they're pretty good too. So, but yeah, I will take that just in case it doesn't work.
All of that to say, and this is not just specific to VAs, but whenever someone is going to meet with me, the better prepared that I can be to address their specific needs. And also the more specific the questions that they have are, that's how we maximize that meeting. So making sure that when you book the meeting, I know in advance, you know, okay, we need to go over X, Y, Z, and they specifically have questions on these three things.
Oh. That
lets us really take all of our time to address those concerns instead of doing kind of discovery for the first 5-10 minutes of the call.
I can't remember, is that 60 minutes.
30-minute, yeah. I tried doing 60-minute slots, but what I found is I didn't need 60 minutes for most things, and also agents were complaining that my schedule was too full
Mhm.
because it was twice the chunk. So, yeah. Anything else?
This was helpful.
Yeah.
Also,
The process I just created a new